Okay, ET2 nutrition. Well, thank you very much for coming. And you all know each other, you all know me. What's your name? Delaney. That's the only new face I see.
The only new face.
I know everybody else. This training is supposed to be now 3 hours. When I scheduled it for you, I still thought it was 2 hours. So we're going to try to do it quickly. So we still have the discussion, but just keep beside that 20 minutes. Okay? The first part it's just lecture, is not a PowerPoint. But what I wanted to say to begin with, you look at the front of your manual, and you see a diagram there. It says eating and active physical play. What do you see in the middle?
Children's growth development.
When there's a balance between nutrition and active physical play, then children develop in a healthy way. Okay? So this first part of the training is about nutrition only. The second part we're going to do one over there. Dr. Branning and Dr. Fletcher made a parallel between the both aspects, nutrition and physical activity. And they found that in both, there are internal cues that children follow that tell them when they are hungry and when they don't want to eat anymore, when their stomachs are full. And it's the same for movement. Their body tells them, right? They need to move. You can tell that they need to move. And there's no stopping that, so you have to adapt. And in the nutrition is the same. Children are born with internal cues that tell them when they need to eat and when they need to stop. Problem is that very well-intentioned adults, we know what's best for them, so we want to tell them, you have to finish this and you have to eat this first. And so we start overriding those internal cues. Raise your hand if you all eat only when you're hungry. Nobody? Yeah, me neither. You learn to, okay, I'm busy right now and I'm not going to eat, and you ignore your internal cues. Raise your hand if you always stop eating when you feel that you're not hungry. Well, that's very good. That is not the majority, right?
Yeah.
And chances are that as children grow, we are breaking that connection with their internal cues. So if you see, that's the first topic at the beginning, internal cues. And there are some essential knowledge points. Could you read the first one, the one that says number 1? It's page 7 if I'm not wrong. 7. It says internal cues feeding.
Page 7?
It's after the blue.
It's at the beginning.
It's right after the blue.
Wait, that's
Oh,
blue.
there we go. Oh, right. Page 7. No, that's,
No, this is
Did
blue.
you find it?
Yeah.
Okay, you start.
oh, these are.
Oh, it doesn't have a page on it.
It says children have inborn. You read it.
Okay. Children have inborn internal cues of hunger and fullness.
And you can see that better when the babies. How do you know that a baby is hungry?
They
Right.
They cry. What else? Before that, they are desperate crying.
Crying is a late cue. They mouth, they put their hand to their mouth, their fist to their mouth.
They
Small
start-
babies, young
Like you
babies.
say, they start
cue.
looking. And so if we are in tune with the needs of the baby and we're paying attention to those cues, we can respond timely. But if we ignore it, then, like you say, crying is a late cue. If we don't pay attention, then the baby is so mad or so desperate because he's so hungry. Does that happen to you? Sometimes they don't want to eat anymore because you didn't respond on time? Or they just go in and they choke on the milk and they just keep going, right? Either response is very, very frequent. And the same happens with older kids. if we don't pay attention to those cues, then they might end up being way too hungry and eat too much, and then don't listen to the internal cues when their stomach is telling them, okay, I'm full, stop. So it's important to pay attention to those internal cues.
The biggest or the hardest thing that we've had is trying to educate the parents when the doctors say, only feed that baby every 3 hours, and that doesn't take into account cues, it doesn't take into account growth spurts, stacking feeds, it doesn't take into account anything.
And we're gonna see why even emotionally it's really bad. Now, number 2.
Adults' role is to trust and reinforce children's inborn cues by feeding responsibly. Saturn, 2013.
2013, that is, Ellen Satter wrote a book called How to Get Your Kid to Eat and Not Too Much. And in that book she talks about the division of responsibility. The kid's responsibility is to decide if they are going to eat and how much they are going to eat. The adult's responsibility is to provide the healthy choices and when and how to present the food, so it's appetizing for the kids. Now, can you read number 3?
Children can decide how much to eat and whether to eat.
That's what I was just talking about. So we know what are the better choices of healthy foods for them. And we present that, and then they have the right to decide. Not to be forced to eat all the plate clean or not to eat anymore. They decide how much they're going to eat. Number 4?
Children eat for enjoyment in addition to eating to satisfy hunger.
Guess what? Adults do that, don't we? And since we are born, that is characteristic of human beings. It's not just that we're hungry, but we like certain things. There are some preferred things. And also, if the food is presented nicely, like when we go to a nice restaurant, it looks so pretty, it's more appetizing, right? If it doesn't look very nice, even if the child's hungry, they might not eat. So there are some quality indicators. I know the center is in the QRIS. And if you were to be observed, these are the indicators that will tell the observer that you are actually following the concepts in this training. Can you read the indicators, the ones in bold? Can you start?
Number 1, infants are fed on demand rather than on a schedule. My plate checklist.
Wait, the quality indicator is above.
Oh, I'm sorry. Adults use practices that reflect children's internal cues for hunger and fullness.
Now, what does that mean? That is the indicator, that the adults use practices that reinforce those cues. That's the most important thing that we can do for children to keep them in touch with those internal cues. Okay, now, what does that look in practice? And the things that they're going to look at specifically, the verifiers, are the ones in bold, the one that you were reading first.
Infants are fed on demand.
Rather than on a schedule. That's what you were saying. I mean, you have to argue with what the doctor said, that they want to have them in a schedule so they get used to it. But the children, babies, their stomach is the size of their fist. So they have to eat more often. And they process it faster too. So some babies eat every hour, some babies eat every 2 hours, some babies eat every hour and a half. And we just have to pay attention to those cues. They even change the labs in which they feed according to if they have done more activity, or if they are tired, or if they are growing, or if they feel sick. And we still need to respect when the child says it's enough. And we still have to pay attention when they want to start eating. Number 2.
Enough food is available to satisfy individual children's hunger needs.
Okay, why do you think that is important? We're talking in relation of reinforcing the internal cues.
If there's not enough food, the child will, if they are always not enough food, they will start grabbing it as soon as it's put out, because they're afraid they're not gonna get enough to satisfy themselves.
Food insecurity, and you have seen kids like that, right? That they just get everything in front of them and they won't stop until it's all the whole bowl gone. And sometimes that's the consequence of being limited. Okay, this is all you have, and that's all there is. Especially people in low-income families, that happens a lot.
And even if they're not afraid, there has to be enough available for them to get to where they get full and say stop. So even if they're not afraid of lack of food, there still has to be enough for them to get.
Yeah, because if there isn't enough, then it creates food
They
insecurity.
wouldn't get, their cue wouldn't be there
So
yet.
if it doesn't mean that you have to force them to eat, like in the USDA says, this is the portion that they need to have, right? It doesn't mean that they have to eat that, but it means that needs to be available. In the kitchen, in a cart next to the door, somewhere, but that you can go and get more. Okay, number 4, that's in bold.
Okay. Children are not required to eat either a set amount of food or a particular food.
Now, why do you think that has something to do with internal use? Children are not required to eat either a set amount of food or a particular food. What will happen if you want them to eat certain amount? You put it on the plate and you tell them, you gotta finish that.
Well, one, they might not like it. You know, it's like even with the school agers on our pizza day, we offer at least a couple kinds of fruits because I always tell them you don't have to like everything. You know,
But what happens to the internal cues if you tell them you have to finish it?
well,
We are breaking those internal cues again. Have you been told, maybe some of the people my age were told, you don't get off that table until you finish that plate? Yeah, my mom wouldn't let me out of the table.
I have to do that at the end though.
Anthony is a different aspect of it because he has certain characteristics.
when he has
that
diet suppressing
he's-
medications,
Yeah, that
there has to be an encouragement to eat.
change his appetite and change his behavior.
It can also trigger compulsive eating later on if you force them to eat clean the plate all the time.
Why don't we make him cleaner, just make him eat like
A reasonable amount, yeah.
he has to eat a little bit of everything,
You think
so
this
that
way?
he's getting his,
It's fair to have some reason,
because
you know.
he'll take a bite of something and then he'll be done, and he won't even do that if you don't make him.
And how long do you think he's gonna go without?
Oh, he's gone a whole day without
But he
eating.
has, and there's been growth issues because
He's
of
gone
it,
a
yeah.
whole day without eating.
Yeah, there's been some
And still
medical
didn't
growth
eat the next
issues
morning.
because of that.
But
so.
again, that's a particular case, is
Yeah.
not the common. I mean,
Right.
the best thing is never to force
But
them.
is that
You
make-
put the
Is
food
that
in
gonna
there,
make it bad because I force him to eat?
it might have some consequences later on, and we're gonna see why. Number 5.
Food is offered at least every 3 hours so that children's hunger does not overwhelm their ability to self-regulate intake.
You have a schedule, right, for lunch, for snacks. How spread is that? How many hours are in between?
Basically 2 hours.
2 hours, 2
Well,
hours
it's 2
and a half,
to 3,
right?
2 to 3 between breakfast and lunch.
Uh-huh.
A little bit more for toddlers with lunch because of napping, you know, till when they're awake, diapered, hands washed, ready for afternoon snack. It's a little bit beyond the 3, but about right in there.
So why do you think
Yeah.
it's important to keep it in that range, between 2 and 3 hours?
Just what you already said, if they get too hungry, they're gonna overeat.
But doesn't that also do with the metabolism and stuff like that?
Well-
Digestion and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, like precisely, because their metabolism is faster
Yeah.
and their stomachs are smaller. If they don't eat frequently, then they're gonna be way too hungry to pay attention to their internal cues. Or too mad, and if they're hungry, they're not gonna want to eat. Number 6.
Children serve themselves at least part of the meal.
Okay, why do you think that's important? The USDA requires that, and this training is one of the most important things. The kids serve themselves at least some. Why do you think that's so important?
I think it's important because then they get to make the choice of how much they'll eat and how much they won't. It helps them learn what they want and what they don't want.
Yes, it helps them learn to control the portions, to self-regulate, and it also gives them more control. And then Dr. Browning and Dr. Fletcher have started a study that shows or suggests that even with less food when children are allowed to serve themselves. And of course, everything is with practice, and they're not going to learn that if we don't give them the opportunity to do it. But when they are allowed to do that consistently, they don't take that much. They know it's like you, if you help yourself, you put it in your plate. Yes, I can bring it down the stomach, but if you are not over the time, you're not super hungry, you know how much you need to eat. And you're gonna put a decent amount, but not too much, right? Number 8.
Adults sit at the table with children.
Why do you think that's important for the internal cues?
Example.
Because you're having conversation, and so they're not just stuffed in their face, there's conversation, so it gives them time to eat. Process what's going on.
That's part of it. What else? It has to do with the conversation. What opportunity do you think the teacher has when she's sitting right there with the children, eating the same? Yeah, the teacher teaches. What else? What can you tell the children? What can you point out to them?
Eating too fast or too much.
And yes, all of that, all of the above. It's one of the most important things we can do to be able to help children with the conversation, the manners, and to learn to put portions and all that, and with role modeling, is to be there, right there, sitting
And to observe for
at
choking.
the table. Not to mention health, safety issues and stuff. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. But the thing is that when you're sitting at the table, you have the chance to reinforce those internal cues in very tiny manner. Like, what is your tummy telling? And you're not eating. It looks like you're not hungry. Are you not hungry anymore? Or maybe, what is your tummy telling?
Sometimes kids need permission. You can stop if you're full.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that doesn't happen if you're not sitting at the table. Okay, now, we have, we already talked about this. There is a concept, there are some key concepts that they want us to mention. Is essential knowledge for internal cues and response to feeding. Children have inborn internal cues of hunger and fullness. The concept says, healthy children are born with internal cues of hunger and fullness cues. Now, what is hunger?
Body tells you you want food.
When your body tells you, your stomach tells you, put food in my stomach, right? And what is appetite? Because remember we said,
How much you want? Like,
Appetite's what you want to taste.
hunger is the physiological drive to eat, and appetite is the psychological part of it. Yeah. So if you're sad, you either don't want to eat anything, or you just stuff too much food in, right? And that depending on if we have kept in touch with our internal cues. So between hunger and appetite, they have to be both together so that the child actually eats. If the food, that's what we were saying earlier, that if the food is not looking nice, the appetite is gone. If there is a lot of noise around, or there is a stressful situation, the child doesn't want to eat. Have you seen when they get into an argument with another child, they get mad, do they want to eat? Their appetite is gone. Now, I cannot stand it when I see something gross or hear anything gross at the table. I can't eat anymore. And children are the same. Okay, now, infants and children generally are better than adults at eating according to hunger and fullness. And we were talking about that already. That as we grow, we lose that connection. So that's our role as teachers to reinforce that. So the key concept for that is adults' role is to trust and to reinforce children's inborn cues, and children can decide how much to eat and whether to eat. Now, to do that, we have to have responsive feeding. What do you think responsive feeding means?
Well, following the cues,
When you
looking
are,
at the cues of the baby or the child.
yes. If you are responsive to the child's needs, what do you do?
Feed them.
Or ask questions, do you want more juice?
Yeah,
Looks like you're all done, do you want more?
you pay attention to the cues and then you react appropriately, right? So if they want more food, you feed them. If they are sad, you comfort them. If they fall, then you take care of the eye, right? That is responsive teaching. And so when you apply that to feeding, yes, is pay attention to the internal cues and feed them when they need to, not when you think they need to. And to stop when you want to stop. Okay, I have here some responsive feeding practices for feeding infants, and then there's some more for toddlers and preschoolers. Could you read the first part, David, the one that says responsive feeding reinforces internal cues? After key concepts?
Yes. When an adult trusts and responds appropriately to a child's hunger and fullness cues, the cues are strengthened. The child learns to trust those internal cues and to trust the environment.
And if we don't do that, they learn not to trust it and to ignore it. Okay, some responsive feeding practices for feeding infants. See if you recognize these. Do you do some of these?
Always hold infants in one's arms while feeding. Always hold the bottle when feeding an infant, never popping bottles.
Recognize and respond to the infant hunger cues, rooting, sucking, and crying.
Allow infants to regulate their intake by responding when child slows eating and stopping feeding when the infant shows fullness, turning away from the nipple, closing lips tightly, falling asleep.
Allow infants to self-regulate when they begin to eat solids by responding when child slows eating and stopping feeding when infants show fullness cues. Example, turning head away from the food, closing lips tightly, or pushing the spoon away.
And eventually they will throw the plate on you or on the floor if you keep going, right?
Or spit the food at you.
Yeah. The next one, in bold. It says, avoid actions that are harmful to children and override children's internal cues of hunger and fullness. So, why do you think it's important to hold the baby and not prop the bottle?
You can respond better, being right there, you know.
You are looking, paying full attention to the child, and then you can see those internal cues. If you prop the bottle, not only they can choke, but then they are forced to keep eating, and those internal cues are ignored.
Besides, it's the nurturing thing to do. There are other reasons to hold the baby when
Yes. Never force a nipple into a child's mouth when they have indicated fullness. A nipple.
or a binky.
Yeah, and you know what, here, and later we're going to see how breastfeeding is a very important thing to promote if we want to support internal cues. One thing is that when you are breastfeeding, there's no way, it's very hard to actually force the child to keep eating. But if you have, the child is more in control. If you have a bottle, then who is more in control?
The adult.
The adult. And you can see, okay, you only ate 1 ounce, I don't think so, you still need to eat some more. And you can actually force the nipple in the child's mouth. And you keep track because you can see the ounces. And so it's very important that not that formula and bottle feeding is wrong, because thank God we have it, or many kids would just die, right? But it's very important to pay attention to even more when you are breastfeeding and when you are feeding with a bottle. It comes more natural to respect those cues when it's breastfeeding. Okay? Now, responsive feeding practices for feeding toddlers and preschoolers. You start? Oh,
They were good.
there. You.
Megan?
And Omega? Did you
Megan
just
was
read
right.
something? Okay. Sorry, I skipped it.
There is enough food for children's hunger to be satisfied. Children who are fearful there won't be enough food for all children may overeat to ensure that they get enough food. This is especially true of children who are food insecure.
That's what we were talking about earlier. Angie?
Children choose how much to eat. Children have internal cues of hunger and fullness. Trust them.
Children serve themselves from common platters, bowls, or pitchers. All that?
Yeah.
Family-style service allows children to take the amount of food for which they are hungry. Children generally are more accurate at serving themselves than adults are. It is appropriate for adults to give guidance about how much to take at one time to ensure that all children get the food. The children should be assured that they can always take more food if they are hungry.
So the point there is like, yes, we have to show them that this is kind of an appropriate portion. We're going to start with one scoop. If you're hungry, then you can keep eating. Right? Do you recognize those practices? Yes, we do that. No.
We do.
Okay, keep going.
Adu-
Oh, you.
Adults need to use serving dishes and utensils that help children take the amount for which they are hungry.
Now that's very important too, and we're going to see that later in environment. But the more appropriate those utensils are, the best, the more child size they are, then they're going to be having more chances of success when they are trying to eat, instead of setting them up for failure, giving them things that they cannot control. You know, we have to remember that they are learning fine motor coordination, balance, and all these things. So,
We're skipping now. We're skipping now, in the middle.
That's right, she's not reading the book.
Food is offered in age-friendly units. Quartered sandwiches on a platter, diced peaches rather than peach halves in a bowl, 4-ounce cartons of yogurt rather than 8-ounce cartons, whole wheat bread cut in half slices rather than presented as whole slices, which makes it easier for children to serve themselves according to internal cues.
if the portions that we give them are smaller, then they can control that instead of taking a big one. You know, if you put a lot in the plate, they are going to tend to want to finish that. Or if you give them a big piece of pizza, they are going to just keep going just because it's there. If you give them little pieces, then they can control that better. And we do that. You know, that's
Well,
why
plus
you
the
cut-
diced peaches are a lot easier to eat than big slippery slices that fall
No
off the
kidding,
spoon.
less chokeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you do a lot of these things here. So give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. Okay.
To help children stay in touch with hunger and fullness cues, to be internal about what you say and do. Example, asking if the children's stomach is full, assuring the children they can have more food if they are still hungry, offering assistance for self-serving challenging.
Okay, be intentional. That is, I think, the biggest goal of this training. Nobody's reinventing the wheel. Probably you have heard this before, but the point is that if you're doing the right things, be more intentional about it, because now you understand how important it is that we do those things. It's not just because. It's not because the director wants, or the USDA just has these weird rules. You know, it's very important that we follow that to support those internal cues. Okay. And it says avoid coercive actions and words that override children's internal cues. And I am not going to go all through it, but the main thing is that you never force them one way or the other. Again, you can have access to all this material at the Idaho Stars website, and there is the whole manual that you can print as you want. You can get it online. Okay, we talked about appetite. Now, there is a handout there that says what you say matters, hunger and fullness. I really do want to go with that and see why do you think some of these sentences or phrases help the children connect to the internal cues or help the children, and why others hinder that connection. Okay, so let's start. Where you?
Just that one paragraph.
Yeah.
Words at the table give children serious messages. What adults say is powerful. Go on. Comments about food and eating have short-term consequences for helping children have a successful or disappointing meal. Over time, comments accumulate to give children long-lasting messages about how much internal control they have over hunger and satisfaction. Think about your influence on a child's internal control for eating. Listen to what you say and decide if it is a phrase that helps or a phrase that hinders a child to be a healthy eater.
And you know that we have power. The kids that are with us, they love you, they look up to you, and they care about what you say in all aspects of their development. And that's why they come with a picture and say, do you like it? Do you like it? And so we have to be very aware that whatever comes out of our mouth is going to stay with them, consciously or subconsciously. So let's read the first one. Who's next? Sandy?
Help. Is your stomach telling you that you're full? Hinder. You have to take one more bite before you leave the table.
Okay. Why is that helpful and why is the other one not helpful?
When you're asking the child for the answer, you're not telling the child the first one.
What are you pointing out?
We are making the child think about his stomach.
Yeah.
Am I full? Am I not full? No, maybe I'm not full. Maybe I better eat more. Or, yeah, I'm full. Maybe I better stop, you know.
Is your stomach telling you? It's like, okay, pay attention to your body. What is your body telling you, right? How about the other one? You have to take one bite before you leave the table. What does that do to the internal cues? Yeah, even if the child is full, I don't think so. You still have to eat because I say so. Now, remember we used to have a long time ago the one bite rule?
I don't like the one bite rule.
We used to have it
USDA
and
has a
we
book, the
changed it.
2-bite club. I don't even like that one.
No.
Because I don't like shrimp and I am not having one bite of your shrimp,
that
Charo.
is- Yeah, I know. And that is, even just that,
My
one
food
bite,
policy says no thank you bites.
yeah,
That-
even that one little bite is overriding their connection to those internal cues.
Do you like to say, will you try this? Can you try this?
I like to say, well, like I even said it to Joy tonight, you know, because we ate before the staff stayed, but I said, you don't like spaghetti, Joey? I said, you should try my spaghetti. I make really good spaghetti. So I kind of put it in a positive, you know, and sometimes at the table, if children don't want something, I'll say, oh, you ought to try my pancakes. I make really delicious pancakes. So I'm not really telling them, eat that pancake or whatever, but I'm telling them, oh, I make really delicious pancakes, and giving them something to think about. Oh, maybe it is good, you know.
What if they say they don't like it and they've never tried it? Can you say,
You just keep presenting it.
Yep.
And we're gonna
So
talk
they
about
wanna
that.
try
you
it,
haven't
yeah.
tried it, you can't.
Yep.
We're gonna
And
talk about
sometimes though, you need to also look at the environment, because if, you know, we just started with something and something exciting happens over there, everybody's gonna wanna leave the table, and it doesn't really mean that they've even had a chance to eat yet. Or babies that are too sleepy, or that, you know, Owen's at the age, if somebody walks in the room, he's gonna pop off of nursing to look around. That does not go back to, oh, that's his cue, he's full. Or even a newborn, they fall asleep. No, they need to be woke up, because newborns fall asleep sometimes when they're not full. You know, I mean, sometimes they don't gain weight at 2 weeks because they're too sleepy. So you have to look, I think, a little bit at common sense of what you're presenting as your environment, so that it's conducive to allow the child to be at the table and serve himself and eat what he wants
you have
and
to
eat
be
enough,
very,
and, you know.
very aware of the child's cues, because they will tell you with their body language, and sometimes even with their words. Okay, the next one.
Oh.
Patty.
Help, take a spoonful of beans. You can have more beans later if you like them. Hinder. You took 2 big spoonfuls of beans. Now you have to eat all you took.
Okay. Why is the first one helpful?
Because you're introducing the food to them, and if they actually like that introduced food, they can have more later.
It says you can have more if you like it. And so you are reassuring them, right? We're going to start with this. And once you're sure that you want to keep eating, then you can have some more.
It gives them a clue to the appropriate size of
Exactly.
what to take, so that
That's
everybody at the table, all the other children have a turn too.
And then you want to focus that on, okay, everybody is going to need to eat, so let's make sure that there's enough for everyone, then you can have seconds. How about the other one? You took 2 big spoonfuls of bean, now you have to eat everything you took. How would,
Well, it's
yeah.
just not kind. One of the funniest discipline videos with Barbara Colarosa says, how would you feel if you go to the restaurant and you order the chef salad? And the waiter says to you, now Barbara, last week you ordered the chef salad and you didn't even eat all of it. Why don't you just order the half salad today? I mean, we wouldn't want to be treated like that as adults, and why do we treat children like that?
Exactly. You remember the training I did so many years ago? When I brought food and I offered quinoa and cookies and stuff like that. You remember? And one of the tables, I said, okay, here is the food. Just help yourselves, whatever you want. And the other table, you have to eat the quinoa first. There's no cookies if you don't eat the quinoa. And I saw people going, I don't know, because the quinoa then was new. It doesn't feel well to have other people telling you what you have to eat and how much you have to eat. And then you just don't want to do it. Okay, now, and not only that, but you want so much, now you have to finish it. How do you feel? Will you feel embarrassed? It's shaming and it's
Worried.
Feel. Not only that, but if they got that because they wanted to try, what do you think is going to happen the next time that you put something in there that they don't know if they like or not?
They're not going to
They're
want
not
it
going
at
to
all.
even try. Right?
Because it's okay to say, if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it.
Exactly. Because if you tell them you have to finish everything you put on your plate, then, okay, I'm not putting anything I don't know then. So I don't want to have to eat all that. Okay, next one.
Help. You didn't choose the chicken wraps. Are you hungry? Is there something here that you do like to eat? Hinder. You didn't take the chicken wrap. The cook went to so much trouble to make this. You don't want to let her down.
Okay, why do you think that is helpful? And why do you think the other one is not?
The child might not feel well, may not feel like eating, maybe he's never seen a chicken wrap, maybe if you open it and the child can see, oh, it's chicken and cheese. Those are some things you do like, aren't they? You know, or maybe there's something else that's being offered. You know, there's maybe rice or macaroni and cheese to go with it, or fruit or something, you know.
The central part of that statement is, are you hungry? So what is that doing? Again, connecting, making them pay attention to the internal cues. And is there something here that you like to eat? So, okay, you didn't like the chicken wraps, but look around, maybe you can eat something if you're still hungry. And that's why it's very important to offer always something new, and something that they know and that they can fall back to. Bread or whatever that they are, you know that they can fall back onto that, so they are not going to stay hungry. Now, one more example. Look at the one that says, it looks like you're not eating the kiwi.
Help. It looks like you're not eating the kiwi. Are you full? Hinder. You didn't eat your kiwi. Teacher Sue and I eating it. I don't know what that is.
I'm
Some for us.
Okay,
You're just still not eating it.
teachers who are not eating it, eat some for us. What is that doing to the child? Why is he gonna eat? because he's hungry?
Maybe he doesn't like it.
Because he doesn't want to let you down.
Exactly. We're manipulating his emotions, and that's forcing the child. It's very subtle, and it might be disguised as a very kind way to say it, but it's still forcing. And then the other one above is, you ate all your peas, you must have been hungry. Of course, that's connecting to the internal cues. And you're such a big girl, you finished all your peas. Now, why is that wrong?
Because if I didn't like peas, I'd feel like maybe I wasn't a good girl.
Yeah, that's a judgment. You're putting yourself in a position of judgment. So if you can say that they are a big girl because they eat, you can also say that they are baby because they didn't eat, or a good girl and a bad girl. Okay, I will let you read the rest, and I want to put a video here. Oh, I thought I had it. Not to me. Oh. Yeah. So you're gonna see a video that's children choose how much. Oh yeah, you wanna turn the lights off?
Sandy's on it.
Sandy,
What's going on?
Can you see chairs?
Yeah, there it is.
And have to shrink it.
Okay. This. Children choose how much. This is adorable. It's a little vignette, and you're gonna see. Come on, my computer. I need to throw this computer away.
That's an expensive thing to throw away.
Well, it doesn't help me. I need to get a new one. So it shouldn't be that slow.
it looks like it's froze up because the circle is not turning.
It's turning here. Come on. Well, if you want to go for a bathroom break, maybe while this works, you're more than welcome. Why is it not working? I have to move things open. I need to stop. There it is.
Ah, there it is.
Well, it should be a big one. No.
Big old chair with hands.
There. Okay, here it goes. I'm sorry, ladies. You can do a fundraiser and get me a new computer, I know. Okay. Oh, come on. What are friends for? Come on, work. There it is. Okay, now half an hour more. We should do it. What time is it? 7:30. Okay, there it is.
Children Choose How Much is a video lesson that shows how children should be allowed to choose how much food they eat. Children are born with hunger and satiety cues. They know when they are hungry, and they know when they are full. Children can keep identifying those hunger and satiety cues as long as adults don't interfere by forcing, coercing, or restricting their intake. In this video, you will see how children can determine how much food is appropriate for them, and that they communicate their hunger and fullness to one another. Here is the video. Children choose how much.
After eating what I did I ate all my dinner, and then I had some apples, and then I had some watermelon, 2 slices of watermelon. And I was hungry. I had all my dinner gone. I ate a whole apple, and I ate 2 slices of lemon. I think that's enough turkey. No, I think maybe you should try to eat that first. If you want more, you can have more.
Okay. Reassuring.
You're gonna be hungry later.
More bread. You're hungry, all right.
And I'm done.
I'm hungry and I am done. Did you recognize some of the comments of the teachers there? Oh, you're hungry. You must have been hungry. Paying attention to that internal cues. Yeah, reassuring. Okay, you can turn the light back on, please. Somebody.
She's walking the baby.
Somebody. Okay. Now, that was the first topic. Internal cues. The second topic is variety. So, whose responsibility do you think this part is?
They don't.
The adult. Yes, children need variety,
Well, maybe a little bit children, because if they shop with you, they can make some choices.
but it's
too.
still the adult
Yes, doing
providing
the
those
purchasing.
opportunities and facilitating that familiarity. Okay, so the essential knowledges, 2 points of essential knowledge. It says breast milk is the optimum food for infants since it supplies a wide variety of essential nutrients and other substances that help infants to grow and remain healthy. And the other one says, children need a variety of foods to support and maintain healthy weight and healthy nutritional status. The indicator would be, can you read it, Debbie?
Programs that serve infants and their families accept breastfed infants. A variety of food is available to children with menus based on United States Department of Agriculture Child and Adult Care Food Program and My Plate recommendations.
Okay, so it says, if you serve infants and their families, you have to accept breastfed infants. That's one of the most important things that we can do to support internal cues and to support variety. Breast milk is not only changing in consistency and color and temperature, it changes flavor. And so even from the womb, when you eat a balanced diet, the child is having those flavors, is tasting. And then with the breast milk, those are reinforced and he's becoming more and more familiar with different flavors of food. And so when you present the solids later and they try it, it's not totally new. It's familiar. That's why they have some preferences already. Because some of those foods they already had felt that flavor before from the womb. So it's very, very important that we support breastfeeding moms in the center. And of course, when you offer menus or different foods, a variety of food is available to children. I know you guys don't cook here, but even with the lunch boxes, you can do that.
But our breakfast and snacks are.
And that's a variety. Okay, now, what does that look in practice? So that's the quality indicator, and these are the verifiers, the things that they're going to be looking at. Are we doing these things? Are there some more things that we could do? Does it apply to the reality of the center? Now, provision is made to store express milk for the caregiver to feed express milk to support breastfeeding mothers and their babies. Why do you think that is important?
So that parents know where it's gonna be stored right.
If you have breastfed your babies, you know your milk is liquid gold. It can't be wasted. And they want to know that the milk that they are working so hard to pump so the baby can have it during the day is going to stay fresh and it's going to be good for the baby. So what do you have in your baby's room?
A refrigerator.
A refrigerator. And you are very careful that the temperature is right and your parents, do you show the parents when they come? We do this, we have the refrigerator here. There's a chair that you can come.
It has a small freezer too, so sometimes there's backup milk in the freezer.
And there are lots of handouts here that will tell you more about breastfeeding and how
Well,
to
also, if you have a
store it.
parent that's going to nurse right when they come at 5:15, you don't try to feed the baby right before that. You try to dance and sing and, try to have them ready for mom if they're the kind that are coming in the door to nurse, kind of thing.
And
They can come in on lunch breaks and nurse and.
how do you ensure that the program is welcoming to those breastfeeding moms?
Making it comfortable.
That's right. So there are. What do you see in the baby's room that makes them comfortable?
A chair in private place.
Exactly. So to support the moms, it's not just saying, yes, you can breastfeed your kids. I mean, it's good to breastfeed, but you have to make your environment speak for you. Like there is a private room, you can sit down.
We don't
and be
have a private
comfortable
room, but they're welcome to go there or they're welcome to go elsewhere in the center if they
It's
want to
a
look
private
for it.
room, the baby's room.
Well, the
is
baby room, but it's not
pretty
private because all of us are, the teachers are in there.
But not all the parents are
Right.
walking into there. There's a door that you
Yeah.
can.
There's a chair that you can turn away from the
Yes,
open
there's a
door.
couple of chairs and.
So, come on,
And
I'm praising you.
just the invitation, because we have a relatively new baby this summer that's visiting, and mom was shocked when they said that she could come in and nurse on her lunch break. Really? I'd be welcome to do that? I don't know what in the world is going on in her center in Seattle, but she was impressed her baby would get to play outside here. I can't wait to tell my husband the baby's gonna get to go outside. It's like, what are they doing in childcare in Seattle for crying out loud? But anyways, with the nursing, and our staff can go in and out and nurse, and how does that work for you instead of pumping?
Well, considering you won't take bottle.
But that's what babies who go to work have to do.
Respecting the internal cues. Okay, now number 2.
At least 2 weeks of cycle menus are used. My plate checklist or CACFD participation.
Why do you think 2 weeks is a good time? It says at least 2 weeks.
There's a pretty good variety.
It gives you the opportunity to give a lot of variety, but what would happen if you would repeat the cycle in like 2 months? You offer a new food at the beginning.
Well, since you have to offer some new foods 10 or 15 times before a child might be brave enough to try it, that could be like 2 years.
Yes. So if you space it too much, by the time they get it, offer it again,
They're still
what is
afraid
that?
of it.
It's totally new again. They forgot about it. So 2 weeks gives you enough space to have variety, but it's still close enough in time that they're gonna remember. Oh yeah, I had this the other day, right? Okay. Menus include number 3.
Menus include a variety of foods.
We've been talking about that all this time. We know why they need variety. The next one.
Menus are posted for staff and parents.
You do that here. Why do you think it's important? Just because the rule says that?
No.
Why is it important? What does it do for parents to have the menus posted?
Let them know what their kids are eating and how much. So that they know that it's the proper thing.
And it's
They
modeling,
say
it's
they
a
don't want
teaching
their
tool
children
for
to have that. So they know.
Well, it's good so the parents can tell you, oh no, he's allergic to that.
Yeah.
It's good so the parents can know, okay, they ate chicken in the morning, I probably don't want to give him chicken again in the evening, right? Or if they, all of a sudden, he ate that? He never eats that for me at home. So give them ideas and let them see that the child is willing to try. I mean, it has all kinds of benefits. including for the teachers, why is it good to see what is the next meal in the menu for the teachers? You can tell them in advance so that gets them a little bit more familiar with it or more prepared for a new thing. What else? What can you do if you know that there's going to be a new food on Friday and you're on Monday? What could you do?
Talk about it.
Talk about it. You can plan activities so that the child becomes familiar with that new food item. Activities that increase familiarity don't necessarily have to be just at the table. You remember you were telling me that the teacher that just left in the Yellowbird room, the one that did Esther did the carrots and then
They grew carrots.
That's also familiarity.
Then they made carrot cake.
And it went from the garden to something that they can actually eat. And they were involved in each step. So the more the children are involved in the meals that they're going to eat, the more willing they will be to try because there's more familiarity. Menu planning is based on nutritionally sound meal pattern, such as the USDA Child Care Meal Pattern and Guidelines of My Plate. Why do you think it's important to be based on those things, on that type of sources?
Well, both those sources have researched healthy patterns, and you could come up with a healthy pattern that's a little bit different than those probably, but they've already done some of that footwork for you.
Exactly, and it is a reliable source. It's not like you can grab it from a magazine, oh, that looks cute, let's do that. You know, it's like you said, it's based on research. Okay, now, this is not in bold, but I think it is important. Can you read number 6?
When a new, me?
Whose turn is it?
When a new food is offered, it is offered repeatedly in the menu cycle, so children become familiar with the new food.
Okay, we talked about that. Doreen?
Children are not required to try or taste food they refuse.
They are not required, doesn't mean that you cannot encourage. Like, here we have this, I really like this, and well, you don't have to.
My muffins
You don't have to, but if you want to try, it's there. Maybe you'll change your mind. You know, when I was at Head Start, they told us that we needed to encourage it 3 times, but never force the child. And now we know why, right?
And reassure them. You can try it, but if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it.
You even can give them the chance, okay, if you don't like it, you can spit it here in this napkin. And you take that. You know, they say that put it to your mouth is taking a risk. Putting it inside your mouth is a commitment. So it's like, but you can have a way to get out of that. Number 8.
Adults acknowledge children's differences and preferences for food, but do not compare children's eating characteristics.
And you know why that's bad, right? We don't compare children ever, in any way. Because they all have different...
Individual.
Exactly. Okay, so... And like us as adults, we have different preferences and different likenesses, and so children are allowed to have that too. And we've talked about all this. Why do kids need variety? Who can tell me? This you know.
Well, God put different vitamins and minerals in different foods. And so you need a variety in order to get that whole mix of all the nutrients that you need.
The body needs all kinds of different nutrients, and each food has just one part of it, right? There's no one food item that has everything.
Except breast milk.
So we have, yeah.
And that's
But
for
that's
a
because-
limited period too.
That's because the mom eats different things, right? And if you see here, the key concepts are breast milk is the ideal food for infants since it supplies a wide variety of essential nutrients and other substances that help infants to grow and remain healthy. Can you read the ones in bold? It says concepts, key concepts, breast milk provides. Oh, we read.
Me? What were you talking about?
Okay.
Oh, on the breast milk things?
Uh-huh.
Seems like we talked about it. It has all the essential nutrients and the amounts infants need for brain development and growth. It's easy for infants to digest. It provides antibodies to prevent illness. Children are less likely to develop ear infections, allergies, diarrhea, and respiratory infections. And breast milk babies are exposed to a variety of flavors, since the flavors vary with the mother's food intake.
That's what we were talking about earlier. So it is like the perfect food. But other than breast milk, like you said, they're not going to have that. So they need all kinds of foods to get all the nutrients that they need. So I'm not going to go too much over this because you know, carbohydrates give you energy and vitamins help keep you healthy, and protein makes you grow. But do you think the kids are going to get that if we tell them you need to have carbohydrates and vitamins and protein?
Sure. No.
Over their head, right? So we need to put it in terms that they can understand.